First question: the American Revolution was essentially an economic conflict between American capitalism and British mercantilism. Critically examine. This question seems very easy, but there is a catch. तो आप लिखना शुरू करें. मैं टाइमर लगा रहा हूँ. How would you introduce? Okay, so you can take the keyword, that is the American Revolution, and explain basic features of that. American Revolution was the first revolution from date A to date B that led to foundation of the great democratic federal republic, etc., etc. So that is a typical introduction where you take a keyword, explain it. That is a fail-safe mechanism. वो कभी खराब नहीं होगा. You always have something to lie back upon. That is not the most preferred one, but ये बैकअप वाला होता है कि कई बार आपको करना पड़ेगा. So you should be ready with factual feature वाला introduction. But question specific intro क्या लिख सकते? Okay, ठीक है. Child of capitalism. It's good. But मैं थोड़ा हिंट ऐसे करना चाहता हूँ कि भाई जब ये पूछा जा रहा है that there is economic reason, it means there are multiple reasons. So I would start with, although there are multiple factors, both material and ideological, that led to American Revolution, the economic clash or clash of economic interests between the mother country and the colony was definitely a very decisive one. वो मेरा stance होगा. Does it sound okay? हमने दोनों किया है. इसमें we refer to the existence of multiple causes, and then we took a stance कि at least in the intro we have to agree that economic is the very decisive one, fundamental one. Yes. Good. So you have taken historiographical perspectives. ये जो ओपिनियन है, पहले तो लोग नहीं मानते थे कैपिटलिस्ट रिवॉल्यूशन है, बट ये बाद में हुआ है इन द 20th सेंचुरी विथ नॉट कैपिटलिज्म. इट एक्चुअली मार्क्सिस्ट थॉट है. राइज ऑफ लेफ्ट जब होगा तो वो गाली देने के लिए कहेंगे भाई ये तो साले कैपिटलिस्ट शुरू से. तो इट्स अ मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियोग्राफी है थोड़ा सा. तो अप्रोच इज राइट, बट यू हैव टू पिक अप अ राइट स्ट्रैंड ऑफ स्कूल ऑफ थॉट. ओके, सो इफ यू नो इट, इट इज गुड. In a number of causes of American Revolution, the fight for economic control and dominance was reflected in the clash of system and ideology based on American capitalism and British imperialism. हाँ, थोड़ा सा अपना फ्लैशी हो गया, बट सही वही जगह आप सोच रहे हैं, बिल्कुल सही. And Samudra is actually thinking the same way I'm thinking in a different word, but in a very concise manner. In a multitude of causes, economic cause is paramount to AR. एकदम परफेक्ट, एकदम एकदम सटल 10 मार्कर के लिए. बहुत ही, अगर 10 मार्कर होता है तो बहुत ही डायरेक्ट इंट्रोडक्शन, सेम लाइन. Although there are multiple causes, economic is very decisive or paramount. Now you come to the economic causes. क्या थे यहाँ पे? You have to show that you understand how mercantilism is against capitalism. That is the key. अगर आपको क्लैश नहीं दिखा पाए ना तो नहीं चलेगा. So we have to first explain what is British mercantilism. What does it mean? That is correct. State intervention in economy, but that is for any country. Yes, in this case, colony is supposed to serve the interest of mother country. And that's why mother country puts control on trade, on monetary policy, on the industry, on commerce of the colony, and policy ऐसे बनाए जाएंगे जो मदर कंट्री को बेनिफिट करेंगे. That is an idea. चलो ये हो गया. If that is so, how come there was rise of capitalism in colonialism? Correct. So even if from the very beginning it was so that, like Navigation Act is the example. Navigation Act of 1760s came in the context of Dutch War, Anglo-Dutch War, right? उसके examples तो ठीक है. We can give a lot of examples. Navigation Act है, control over iron foundries है, minting of currency वाला issue है, shipping के, lots of things are there. So those details are factual details. But understand the philosophical idea that mercantilism is about this control for benefit of mother country. Even though it is true For first few hundred years, the policies were never implemented due to the doctrine of salutary neglect. ना समय था ना जरूरत थी, तो बस पेपर पे रहा, और otherwise it was not implemented as such. Completely free hand. So in that vacuum of actual implementation of mercantilist laws, there was growth of American capitalism. वो बढ़ते गया, बढ़ते गया, बढ़ते गया, and then came one day. क्लैश नहीं हो रहा है. क्लैश कब होगा? After 7 years, after, as they call it, American and Indian War, right? So after 1760s, when the mercantilist policies would really be enforced, along with lots of taxes, at that time capitalism will feel stifled, and then it would say, "ये नहीं चलेगा, नहीं चलेगा, नहीं चलेगा." We have to have that clarity of timeline also. So let us read at least that part, and then we'll come to the second part of the answer. So while various factors, including etc., were contributing, the economic was the most definite one. British mercantilism asserted that colonial interests were subordinate to those of metropolitan state, imposing strict trade controls, extracting resources from the colonies. For instance, Navigation Acts of 1650s prioritized British shipping at the expense of colonial trade, regulating American industries and monetary policy to benefit British manufacturers. This approach aimed to subordinate the American economy to the British needs. However, American capitalism began to take root, characterized by a desire for economic freedom, autonomy, and market. The colonies enjoyed relative freedom under a policy of salutary neglect, allowing them to develop independent economic structures. However, following the costly French and Indian War, फ्रेंच इंडियन वॉर अमेरिका में इसको कहा जाता है, जिसको हम दुनिया में 7 years वॉर. इंडियन मतलब हम इंडियन नहीं, वहां के इंडियंस. ब्रिटेन सॉट टू रेज, क्योंकि उस वॉर में हुआ ये था, ऑन वन साइड ब्रिटिश, ऑन द अदर साइड फ्रेंच. तो फ्रेंच टुक द हेल्प ऑफ लोकल इंडियंस, अमेरिकन इंडियंस, बिकॉज उनकी और कॉलोनी की दुश्मनी थी. जैसे वो हो गया, कॉलोनिस्ट सपोर्टेड द ब्रिटिश. सो ऑन वन हैंड ब्रिटिश एंड कॉलोनिस्ट अमेरिकन, ऑन द अदर हैंड यू हैव फ्रेंच एंड लोकल इंडियंस. ये क्लैश था, तो वो उसको कहते हैं फ्रेंच एंड इंडियन वॉर. तो फ्रेंच एंड इंडियन वॉर, Britain sought to raise revenue by enforcing mercantilist laws and imposing new taxes like Stamp Act, townshend duties, etc., which directly impacted colonial economic interests. And this created a financial burden and restricted capitalism. So clash ho gaya, to kranti ho. So you have explained the context. Now you go to the other side. How do you counter it? Simple tarika hai, you can say ki bhai, this is too much of however. This is economic determinism. जिसको हम नहीं मान सकते. Not every time economy directs everything. It is an important factor, but not the only factor. There was therefore role of ideas. What ideas? Enlightenment ideas. That is our second question. We don't have much to elaborate, but you can mention that American Revolution is also called as Lockean Revolution. Locke ke ideas wahan pe, right? Then we have second point. Who are the leaders going for revolution? Are they capitalists? Businessmen? Industrialists? No. The leaders in the revolution are mostly landholders, mostly small farm holders. They are not capitalists themselves. Rather, if you see very closely, they come from a different kind of background. They actually come from the जैसे आपके पास जेफरसन है and George Washington है. Jefferson and George Washington, they are talking of the states, not center. They're talking of the political autonomy, local autonomy. So my point is, background of the leader is not, they are not capitalists. Most of them, if not all, most of them, they are big farmers, landowners, and otherwise old people. The third thing, old type people. The third thing, अगर सच में ये कैपिटलिस्ट क्रांति होती, तो आफ्टर द रिवॉल्यूशन क्या होता? They would have been support, but ऐसे नहीं है. We have huge debate during Articles of Confederation, during Constitution, even afterwards, first bank crisis, second banking crisis, Hamiltonian system तक जाते जाते इनके 40-50 साल चले जाते हैं. they are still not clear whether it is capitalism or not. अंदर बहुत झगड़े हैं. So even the post-revolution debates show कि भाई it is not the clear ascendancy of capitalism. They have different type of people having different views clashing with each other within them. So because of these three reasons, we cannot accept the reason completely. If it was only economic reason, capitalism was the reason. Well, it was definitely a factor, but there were other factors as well. Simple. इसमें क्या दिक्कत थी? दिक्कत बताएं कहाँ पे इसमें? पहली बात तो you should be able to show the clash of interests. Mercantilism अगर शुरू से enforced है, तो how come there was scope of rise of capitalism? Because of the not mercantilism not being enforced in salutary neglect. एंड जब एनफोर्स किया तब तक बहुत लेट हो चुका था, तब तक कैपिटलिज्म बढ़ चुका था. शुरू से करते तो बात अलग थी. 200 साल छोड़ दो और फिर कोई नहीं, अब ऐसे थोड़ी चलता है. So that is what one thing you have to show. In the vacuum of the implementation of mercantilist policy, the child of capitalism could rise. And when it was implemented, वहां पे clash हो गया. ये एक बात. And दूसरा बात, you have to bring other context. इसमें most of you would be easily be able to bring this point. बट बचे दो पॉइंट शायद नहीं लेके आएंगे, नहीं सूझेंगे. तो इसको थोड़ा इंटरनलाइज कर लो, खत्म. एंड हाउ डू यू कंक्लूड? Therefore, it was not merely a struggle between two economic systems. It was multidimensional. It had political, economic, other factors, ideological. है ना? खत्म. Is this clear?